In 3, 2, and 1. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the FrameCast. FrameCast number 36. How's it going, Drew? How's everything over
Yes.
there in the UK?
Yes.
It is yes. I think that
It is yes.
I think that perfectly describes the situation of what's going on right now. Kind of nothing really. Like for most of us, or just kind of sitting at home.
I wish you. I still have to do my full-time job.
Yeah, the responsible people under us have to do their full-time jobs and play
What do you
Animal
mean
Crossing.
under us?
I mean, we have one person that's responsible, which is you, and then we have me. Actually, let's just gloss over this because I feel that this is going to be a very dangerous topic for me to go on.
Yeah, okay.
So today on the Framecast, let's start off with the keen listeners or the keen watchers may have noticed that last week there wasn't a Framecast. Unless you're watching this like a month later, then you're like you just binge watching them. You have no idea that there was like a week in between here. And I'm sorry for ruining your what's the word again? Immersion.
Illusion?
Yeah,
Right?
illusion, immersion, it's kind of the same. But we didn't do one last week because like there's not a lot going on. Like most topics are concerning like COVID, and I was like, dude, we've been talking about COVID so much, but I mean, there's still nothing else going on. Then some COVID topics. So we have a variety of topics today, which do in some way, shape, or form tie into the coronavirus thing. I guess there's no escaping from it. But if you guys have anything which you'd like us to get into too, if you're watching this live, we have like suggestions are always welcome. So let's get into the topics for today. So we have YouTube reportedly default standard video quality to 480p. We have the second topic is after classifying video game addictions as a mental disorder in 2019, the WHO now recommends playing games as a healthy social pastime during the global pandemic. And our third topic of today is going to be folding at home beats fastest supercomputer in the world after increase in user base. So I actually want to start off with the last one because we finished off with it last time, and I just want to like briefly touch on this because I think it's good news. And isn't it cool to start off with good news?
Yes, always good news.
Hell yeah. So, folding at home beats fastest supercomputer in the world after an increase in its user base. So last time we talked about that folding at home is this kind of you can donate your processing power to support protein folding simulations, which can support research into diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, but also the current coronavirus, COVID-19. And after a surge of support from many enthusiasts and whoever has a computer who wants to support this, the Folding at Home distributed network has broken 470 petaflops. That's twice as fast as the Summit supercomputer, as was tweeted by Dr. Greg Bowman, who is the director of Folding at Home. Folding at Home jumped from an average of 30,000 users in February of 2020 to over 700,000 users right now in March, with over 1 million devices being used for protein simulation. This includes 356,000 NVIDIA GPUs, 79,000 AMD GPUs, and over 593,000 CPUs. So, I am not that familiar with like the computing power. What 470 petaflops is supposed to mean? It sounds like a lot. Do you have any better idea about it?
If memory serves, a flop is a number of floating point operations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's the number of floating point operations performed in a second. So is it God. Let me just have a quick look. Um yeah, no. God, this is hard to look up. I'm just gonna say this is really hard to look up.
What a
A
yeah.
unit, yeah, a petaflop is a unit of computing speed equal to 1,000 million floating point operations per second. So how does this translate to hertz, which is number of instructions per second? uh,
Let's see.
so I don't know how many, if it's even possible to translate them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Petaflops to gigahertz. Let's see. I don't know. Um, like I don't know whether it's possible to translate. It's just like it's something which I'm not like used to seeing a lot. It's not a statistic that a lot of people throw around when they're like looking for their new computer. How many petaflops it can it can do. Um, so it sounds like a lot. I was wondering like maybe you know what like what kind of scale we have to think about, but it's big. It's
I,
good.
yeah, I think it's a different um, unit of measurement. There's no direct correlation. How so they said how many petaflops did they do in how long?
So they were talking about 470
70 petaflops.
petaflops. So he tweeted that recently. I'm gonna open up the exact tweet so we can take a look at it. Can we take a look at that? I think we can take a look at it here on stream. Boom, here we go. So let's see. Where was it? It was linked somewhere. But yeah, it's pretty insane if you see the increase. There's not much more to discuss on this. I don't think. I just wanted to like throw this out as it's a bit of good news that hey, like this thing that we were talking about is working well. Here, let's see. I agree. Continue to cite. Ugh. Let's see. New computer, supercomputer research. Let's see. For those interested, folding at home just hit 1 exaflop, almost double the previously reported number. That means that it's gone from the same speed as the top 7 to the same as the top 103 supercomputers. So apparently, this thing, like, this director of Folding at Home retweeting this, so I think that we can take this as pretty reliable. But that means that Folding at Home as a entire, like, if they take it as an entire system, which it kind of like combined with all the computers that are donating processing power to it, it is as fast as the top 103 supercomputers combined together, which are numbers that I can quite understand. But I'm just gonna say that's a lot. And that sounds cool.
So oh okay.
Here, I'll.
God damn it.
30.
So FP64, because it's like how many? So it can do 470 floating operations per sec. No, it can do 470 times 10 to the power of 15 floating operations per sec.
A lot.
Yeah, that I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a lot, but I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's. I was wondering maybe you know, but if you don't, then it's like I don't even know, and it's like I'm kind of interested in tech, and I know I would say that I know my fair share of it, but like this is something where like I've
Okay,
heard.
so okay, just envision this,
Mhm.
right? Your computer, do you know what processor it is?
I think I have an i7, but I don't know the exact thing. It's like it's a mobile i7, which wasn't all that
Okay,
interesting. But
so I imagine it's something like a 2.6 or maybe a 3.2 gigahertz.
yeah,
Um,
2.6 gigahertz
right?
processor
It's a
it is.
2.6 gigahertz processor.
Yeah.
Right. So, this if we're talking about the equivalent in gigahertz, we are talking about God, let me get a calculator up. So 470 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 divide divided by 2.6. We're talking about one. No, wait. Seriously? That can't be right. Nope. Sorry, I did too many zeros. Right. So we're talking about 180 or nearly 181 million of your processors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane.
That's
That is
at 470 petaflops.
yeah.
Right.
And
So if it's like 470 gigahertz, right?
yeah.
I don't think we can make the direct correlation that much because I don't know the science behind this. I don't know how you can translate a flop and a hertz at this, because it's like hertz is the frequency. So this is like how fast, that's how fast the clock is. So it's how many, how fast the clock is going, how many instructions per second, and then it gets really funky, but just to indicate it's a fucking lot.
Yeah.
I imagine it's less than that, but it's still, that's a hell of a lot.
Did you try it after the last FrameCast that we talked about folding at home?
I think it was I think it was. Was it the last? Yeah, it was the last one
Yeah,
we
it
did
was
it
the
on.
last one.
I did do it, but since then I've restarted my computer and it's not turned itself back on, and I've just ignored it for the time being.
Yeah,
So.
that's fine. I like there's now a problem because like the base user base was like 30,000 and it jumped up to over 700,000. So they're struggling to keep up with the amount of like
Data
work units that they have to like. Well, the data that they have to send for like the simulations to be done, but also to receive the data. So I already saw that Linus Tech Tips is like working to see if they can like build their own data server for folding at home so that they can start sending and receiving work units and that sort of stuff. It's kind of cool. It's just like it's something which I think is quite fun. I do it after the site. It's funny. Anyway, that was just a quick little thing at the start. Let's get into like a bit of a more meatier topic where we can actually have a bit of a discussion, which is after classifying video game addiction as a mental disorder in 2019, the WHO, or the World Health Organization, now recommends playing video games as a healthy social pastime during the global pandemic.
So was it the actual WHO that declared it was a mental disorder?
Well, video game addiction was classified as a mental disorder. So in 2019, the WHO added gaming disorder to the International Statistical Classification of Diseases and Related to Health Problems. They described gaming disorder as a recurrent video game playing that leads to impaired control over gaming and an increased priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedence over other life's interests and daily activities, despite the occurrence of negative consequences. So they didn't say that if you play games, you're addicted, or it's a disorder, but it's like if you put your game,
this is actually a good thing.
Yeah, this is a good thing.
So the fact is that there are so many people that suffer so many different forms of addiction. I know that there have been jokes on different like TV shows and things. My favorite one is from the TV series Archer, where one of the characters by the name of Cyril Figgis, he has a sexual addiction, right? Can't stop having sex, and everyone takes the piss out of him, saying like, that's not a real thing. But there are different mental conditions that are associated to anything and everything we do in our lives, right? Do you know that PTSD wasn't discovered until after I know it was after World War One, but it might even be after World War Two as well. Do you know what PTSD is?
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right. Do you know what it was originally called?
I don't know what it was called.
Shell shock syndrome. right?
Oh yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
Because people thought that they were back in the trenches, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a brilliant TV series that I've only watched like 1 or 2 episodes of, called Peaky Blinders, and it's supposed to be set just after, I think, World War I,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in the first episode, this one character, he's asleep outside a barber shop or something, and the barber comes out of the shop, is like, trying to wake this guy up, wakes up in complete shock, and ends up killing the barber with his own razor blade, right? Because he didn't realize, he couldn't comprehend, he wasn't on the battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this was something that was ignored for the longest time ever,
Yeah.
you know so
I think that a lot of when it comes to like mental disorders, were over the longest time of our human history kind of not recognized as something that exists, because it's not something that you can see from a person. If you just take a look at them, like at their physique, like you can't see it on them, and you'd really have to know that something is going on. I think it's something of at least like the last couple of centuries that people have really been able to understand it. And
yeah.
when you're talking about like the sexual addiction thing, um, or we're talking about the gaming disorder thing, it's like one thing which um, even though it's inherently quite funny when someone's like, "Oh, I'm addicted to sex." It's like,
Mm.
sure you are. But I believe that when it comes to sex, it's like a lot of like dopamine hormones are released, or like a lot of hormones are
Yeah.
released in your body, which your body feels good about, which makes sense because evolutionarily it's better if a creature has a lot of sex so that they can propagate their species, and their species can survive. Therefore, the species that has themselves most tuned and has the best reward to like feeling towards like having sexual reproduction kind of survives. So um, those things probably provide people with a sense of like feel good when they commit to such acts. And like anything where you can have this like reaction that makes you feel good, like people can get addicted to it by overuse. And this is something which I find very interesting when it comes to gaming, because one thing which I've always like said about gaming is that like the really interesting thing is why we all flock to it is because the feedback systems are so well crafted, and they are so well made. They're so psychologically made to like keep you engaged, because what we don't have in real life, we do have in games. So like in real life, if you do something, you don't know whether you're gonna be rewarded for it. If you commit to something, like you might get an instant reward with someone saying thank you or paying you, or you just might not get anything. Whereas if you are in a game, you are certain that when you do something, you will get a reward, because that's the way that the game is structured. And most games are structured in such a sense that when you start, you get easy tasks and you get like a small reward, and that builds up over time. So they're like that's a very simple example, but there's so much more in like the psychology of loot boxes and all that stuff. It's like there's so many psychological tricks that are playing on your mind to like keep you engaged, keep you happy, keep you entertained. It's like I think that like it makes so much sense that this psychological playbook that's being played on your mind to give you like happy feelings and make you feel good about yourself is something that is hugely addictive. Uh, and
There's another side to addiction that a lot of people don't really know about unless
Mhm,
they have first-hand experience. Um, so I am such an individual, right?
mhm,
Just so everyone is clear, I'm not talking about drug addiction in the sense of heroin, cocaine, and all that crap. I'm talking about medicine,
mhm,
right? So many people won't know this. I have a heart condition. It's called
mhm,
Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and I was medicated from the age of 17, 23 till I had an operation.
wow.
Now, in order to actually get tested for the condition
Mhm,
at the age of 90, I had to come off the pills. my body reacted in such a weird way. I couldn't be on the medication, I think, for a week.
Mm-hmm.
For I know this is why it's so weird, right? I was completely aware of what was happening to me, right? I was completely, I wouldn't say in control, right? I wasn't sort of like, oh, I need my pills, I need my pills, oh, I wasn't like that at all. But I was awake for 2 hours and then I'd be asleep for 3 hours. And then I'd be awake for 2 hours and then I'd be asleep for 3 hours. Because my
Wow.
body had to adjust to the fact that this thing I was dependent on 2 years had suddenly just disappeared, right? And like it was weird. And basically the thought behind it was my body trying to adjust to going cold turkey on the actual pills that were used to control my heart from giving me what's referred to as tachycardia, where it's a irregular heartbeat, right? Where
Wow.
I would have palpitations, heart rate would go up to a minute. And like it was weird, right? I didn't want the drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I needed them to function a normal life,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I wasn't having withdrawal in the sense of "Oh, I can feel Spanish in my veins. Oh, it was very much a case of like I had to like I'd be awake, I'd watch TV, I'd be doing whatever, and then all of a sudden I feel exhausted. I
And
had to go
then
lie
and
down.
then and then you'd lay down and you'd fall asleep instantly.
Yeah, yeah. I'd fall asleep, and then I'd get up a couple hours later. Like I
That's so
genuinely
weird.
can't tell you how long it was for because
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if I was off the pills for a day and it felt like a week, or if I was off the pills for a week and it felt like a month, right? I
Wow.
really can't remember. And then before I had my heart operation, 23, I had to come off the pills again. So at that point in time, I was on the pills for 4 years, and I was out of it for like absolutely ages. Like I just wouldn't get out of bed. I had no energy,
Wow.
right? Um,
So
you
did
know,
you have
I
any guidance from like your doctor or whoever was like guiding you towards telling you like, hey, if you want to have like this inspection the first thing at age 19?
it's a procedure to
Yeah.
determine whether or not which condition I had. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the people that told you that like did they like guide you in any way? Like did they know that you were using using that medicine, and could they
They
tell
they
you in
were
advance?
they were fully aware that I was on the medication
Mm-hmm.
to keep my heart in check.
Mm-hmm.
And they strictly told me that I need to come off of it for X period of time before I could have the operation. And I got a funny feeling it was 72 hours. I really can't remember. We're going back
Yeah.
many, many years now. Um, and what was the? But like they didn't tell me how my body was going to react. I mean, it reacted differently both times, right? So like the first time I was just like I was up and down like a yo-yo. The second time I was just down. I was just down the entire time.
But like, were you aware, like, right from the moment that you stopped the first time and you started having like these symptoms? What was like right from the start? You're like, oh shit, like this is something where these are withdrawal symptoms, and I can't do anything about this. But this is happening, and I just have to like deal with it. Like what was it like the first time that you stopped taking it? Like, how long did it take for these effects to like set in?
Oh, it was within the first day.
Wow.
Like, or was it the second day? Again, I can't remember. Right?
Yeah.
Like my memory back then is just so hazy
Mm-hmm.
because I was in and out so much. I know it was, I think it was the second day, because I've gone one day without my medication before,
Mm-hmm.
and like I accidentally forgot to take it, and I was perfectly fine. But I think it was the second day that this started to happen, and um, I don't think I was like shaking or anything like that. I don't think I was losing motor skills much, but it was just like, it was just like a wave of fatigue. I'd be awake, and then I was like, oh, I want to lie down. I'd go lie down, and then get back up after a few hours of sleep, and
Mm-hmm.
then again I just lie down, and I kept on going up and down like this. I'll have to talk to my parents, because I'm sure they'll remember exactly how long it was, but for me it felt much, much longer.
Wow.
You
So
know.
like, how did you feel at like afterwards going through that twice? How like has it changed your um stance towards like taking medication and taking medication in like different doses or in any
Yeah,
way?
so typically I do not like to take medication
Mm-hmm.
unless I am in pain,
Yeah.
right? So if I have a headache, like a really thick, painful headache, I'll take something. Otherwise, if I can, I'll just sleep it off, right? I much rather sleep my way through discomfort than dose myself up with drugs. Because one thing about painkillers is that, yes, painkillers numb the pain, but the problem is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if I ever get a migraine, I just go have a sleep. I just go a couple of hours, feel better afterwards. Um, it's things like that.
I
Um,
I fully agree with that stance. Like when I was a kid, I believed that like painkillers, like what they did was they were so crafted in a way that they would like get in your body and then find the thing that hurt and then stop to make it hurt. But that's not what happens. It just dulls your pain entirely.
yeah, yeah,
And I really don't like that because like I want to know what's going on with my body. I want to know what's happening because if I am feeling just a little bit like bad and I take painkillers, like my body is making me feel bad because I need to go and rest up. I need to go and heal up. I'm in a bad shape. I need to go like lay down and fix this. But if I take painkillers and don't feel the pain anymore, I'm gonna go do shit. I'm gonna make it worse. So
mm,
like I like I can't remember the last time I took medicine. I don't think I can remember the last time I did. I generally
yeah.
don't.
And going back to the whole gaming addiction, like it is a problem. You can be
Mm-hmm.
addicted to nearly anything,
Yeah.
right? You can be. I remember like on a similar sensation, right? The amount of Chinese food I was having at one stage in my academic life, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stop. I stopped, and I was having withdrawal. Right, I wanted salt. I really badly wanted salt.
Mm-hmm.
Anything salty, and I'd have a glass of water, and I was just like, oh, this feels bloody weird. What the hell is this magical clear liquid that's entirely tasteless? You know, and um, yeah, that's you can get addicted to nearly anything. And
Yeah.
if your body is, telling you feel good after doing something in a video game, I can easily imagine this becoming like a proper threat. And I'm actually happy that the World Health Organization has identified video game addiction.
Yeah, well, like it's the more I think about it, the more of a like mean addiction trap this thing is because like not like when you're like I don't know I don't know a lot about addiction, so like I'm just going from like what I think might be true, but don't take my words to hold any significant meaning or anything. I'm just blabbering about it. But if you take it like if I think about like different forms of addiction when they come from like alcohol addiction, like drug addiction, like substance addiction, or like even like sex addiction, which just I believe generally tends to come from like the hormones, like the good feeling that comes from the hormones and dopamine released when you like commit to sexual activities. Like those are generally like caused by like one factor, one major factor, where it's like the chemicals that are released within your body when you engage in the activity, which make you feel good, and because you want to have that effect over and over again, like you amplify it up to a point where it requires a dependency, like where dependency is built up. So I think like you could argue the same when it comes to like the dopamine effect that you get from like completing things in games, doing things in games. But aside from that, like gaming has so much more entice to it, where like it's not just like this one thing which happens to like give you good feedback. It's not just good feedback. It is very well crafted, intentionally crafted feedback to make you feel a certain way. And this is not necessarily in a mean way, but like not every developer is apt to make people addicted. Though there is this idea of like a hook, habit, hobby kind of thing, where like games are actively trying for you, especially the live service games, are especially trying for you to like see something that you really like give you a lot of good feedback right at the start, so that like you get interested in it, then make it a habit so that like you become used to it, and then make it your hobby, make it something that becomes an essential part of your life, an essential part of your identity that you cannot shake anymore. So that is already something which is quite intriguing when that is something which is actively being created. Then add to that like the idea of loot boxes and all that stuff. However, it doesn't just end there, because there's also a lot of like social and identity things which play a part in it, where like they're like right now the WHO is advising people to go play games so that they can like be social without being in touch with each other. Where like kind of like with this, it's being acknowledged that like gaming has a really really large social part. Like there are so many social aspects when it comes to gaming, especially online gaming, that people that may not have like a lot of social gratifications in real life can have a lot of social gratifications within the games that they play, which again adds like another layer of like things that make you feel good. And then when you're running around in a game and you're running around being like the world saving protagonist, or the all powerful space ninja, like those are good feelings of identity that you can portray yourself in. And then when you reach like world records with your raid scores, or you set certain like masteries, or you obtain certain things which are very hard for people to achieve, like you add that to your identity, and you can like walk around with that prestige. And the more I think about it, the more factors there are that really can like grip you into this thing, where
I don't know about that, because I think some of the classic examples of um, video game addiction, where people have played X game so much that it has caused, even death
mm-hmm,
to other individuals or the gamers themselves, have typically been in games like World of Warcraft or even StarCraft. These are games that have typically been on the forefront of revolutionary gaming concepts for the longest time ever. I remember before World of Warcraft came out, you had games like Half-Life, right? You
mm-hmm,
had games like Warcraft 3, StarCraft. God, I'm trying to remember Quake 3 Arena, Quake 2. Like there was a lot less choice in the games back since 2005.
mm-hmm,
Sorry, prior to 2005. But the big thing about Mario, Zelda, whatever, there was always an end, right? With World of Warcraft, there wasn't that distinct an ending, and there were literal weeks worth of content to sink your teeth.
mm-hmm.
And World of Warcraft was a fun experience. The problem was that these people were able to just continue to play the game and ignore the responsibility of life, right? I've known plenty of people that have, suffered similarly. There was one guy I knew who he failed his first year of study because he played World of Warcraft for the entire year, right?
Wow.
His girlfriend left him because of this,
mm-hmm,
right? They went to the same university, and after he did this for the first year, of study. She left, right? And I don't blame her, right?
Hmm.
I was lucky because when I started World of Warcraft, I was still living with my parents, and my parents were, my mum was like, oh, don't forget to do that thing. Yeah, I won't. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, make sure, do it later. Do it after you've played your, finished your game and things like that. I was like, yes, finished my game. And like, no, I genuinely did that. I was
Yeah.
playing a night elf druid in Ashen Vale, which is like really early on in the game. Crash, and like it's only the third zone for night elves. And my mum was like, oh, do this thing. I'm like, and she didn't push me into doing it. My I remember the conversation between my parents because I could hear it. And my dad was like, "I thought you were going to tell Drew to do that thing," and it's like, "Oh yeah, no, he's just playing that game. He'll finish soon enough, and then he'll get on and he'll do it." And then it's like my dad was like, "No, there is no end to that game. He keeps, it's limitless." And she just went, "Drew," it's like, and yeah, I let it happen,
Yeah.
right? Because I was enjoying myself playing the game. I let it happen,
Yeah.
right? Because I wanted to keep playing it.
Yeah, I think it raises a very valid point where, like, before 2005, there weren't that many games that were limitless. Like, I mean, like, yeah, you could play Tetris forever, but like,
Well,
yeah,
no. But like a Tetris round would end,
oh yeah, it would.
right? With what you call it? There were very few MMOs back then. I think PlanetSide was out at that point. Star Wars Galaxies. Um, oh, there was EverQuest. EverQuest is the one I was thinking
Hmm.
of. So there were MMOs like I think Ultima Online was another one. MMOs did exist, but the big thing was that Blizzard were amazing at revolutionizing that any genre that they had a hand in, which
Hmm.
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the downside was that you would have this um God, this
Well, like,
your
like,
your
like,
inhibitions were set wild.
yeah. Well, like, there is no place where it ends. And like, I recently tweeted out that I was addicted to Avatar: The Last Airbender because I started watching that again. I couldn't stop and it hurt my productivity. So like, that was a bit of a joking tweet. Like, I do that sometimes when I'm like, I decide to, like, once in a while I need to like take a break from things. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch something, which sometimes happens to be a new series, sometimes happens to be something from my childhood, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this until it's done. Um, and like, that's something where it's like, hey, you didn't do much besides like watch like, yeah, like an entire season today. Like, that's not really productive. It's like, it's not. And like, I'm not really proud of those days, but I'd like to believe that it's like once like in half a year that I will have like 3 to 4 days where I just like do that. And like, if it's once every like half a year, I think it's okay. But like, for me, like, the big thing with those things is like, it's got an end to it, and I'm like, okay, I'm done now. But when there is no end to these sorts of things, to these sorts of games, where it's like, it's really apparent that this is the point you stop, it's very easy to get lost in, especially when you're getting into these games or getting into these things because like your life isn't going that well. And like, I can get that. Like, a lot of life is hard, and a lot of life sucks. And like, I don't think there is anyone on this planet that's happy all the time. And if you are, I don't want to know you, because like, life is ups and downs. Um, but the thing is that if things aren't going well, then you're gonna have to face them at some point before they become too much. However, facing your problems or facing the things that you're struggling with isn't something that's easy to do, because if it was easy to do, then there wouldn't be problems, because you just get over with them. Facing your problems is actually like a lot worse than the problems themselves, because when you're stuck in the problems, like, you're having a certain amount of like pain, let's call it pain, that you're suffering from having these problems. Otherwise, they wouldn't be problems. But if you want to face them, most likely what you'll find is that those problems are caused by a multitude of things, a multitude of factors, many of which may just as well be caused by things that you did. And like, what is worse than having a problem is having a problem that is partially caused by you. Because like you had a part in it, you had a hand in it, and then you need to like fix things about yourself in order to fix the problem, and that can be really tough. So, like generally, like some people just tend to shy away from that, which I can understand. But if you're shying away into this world of gaming and you just sit in it for like endless times because there was no end in it, then the problems will just amount and amount and amount to a point where you can't like do anything about it. In the case of like your example of the guy from university, like you'll not only like do bad like one semester, you'll do bad an entire year and you'll lose your girlfriend, which yeah, it's like that sucks, but like at some point you're gonna have to phase up. And like if you don't phase up to your problems, like they might become so big that you can't phase up to them anymore. So it's good that they classify this as a what is it, as a disorder, gaming disorder. It's a mental disorder in 2019. But the second part of this article was, or the second part of this topic is that right now, even though they classified it as a mental disorder, which is a good thing, like the way that they classified it is a good thing. The World Health Organization now recommends that playing games is a healthy social pastime during the global pandemic. So, recently, video games have been are being prescribed as a recommended treatment for ongoing homebound existence brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. Game makers from Activision Blizzard to Zynga on Saturday began kicking off a new initiative entitled #PlayApartTogether to encourage people on how to entertain themselves and also practice physical distancing. The initiative, supported by the World Health Organization, is particularly noteworthy because, well, as we said, they have like this thing, but like they're encouraging people to go play games together, because when you're playing games, then you're also staying away from each other while you can still interact with each other. So, do you think it's a healthy thing for people to go and play many games during these days?
I'm gonna say yes. However, isn't Zynga owned by Activision?
Could be.
I just wanna check this. Trying to.
It's
No, I think that's the one that isn't owned by Activision.
yay! We found a developer that isn't owned by Activision.
Yeah, but like, they're still like both pretty shitty companies.
I think they were chosen because I took this from like an article about this. I think they were chosen because it's like Activision Blizzard is like A, and like they just took like a list and they went from like A, Activision
B to Z,
to C.
right.
So Activision Blizzard is like the first thing that pops up, I think, which is like A and then to C. So I guess that's why it was chosen.
But, fair enough, but yeah. So it's like I do think it's. I think one of the big things about gaming is that it gives people a method of escape, right? It's an escapism scenario where anyone can, from their own home, do anything they want. Be it playing as the Doom guy or Doomslayer, murderizing all the demons in the universe, or building your own small island in the middle of nowhere and creating your own colony. I think that those two games I swear they're gonna made a bloody fortune.
Yeah, Animal Crossing and Doom, man. Oh man.
Yeah, but the big thing is that I think it is important to get everyone engaged. I mean, personally, I think a nice goodwill thing from Activision Blizzard, or just Blizzard, right, would have been, right, everyone, you get the next 2 months of World of Warcraft for free. Just there you go. Even if you have an existing account that you're not currently subscribed, next 2 months of World of Warcraft free for everyone, right? That would have been such a goodwill gesture, right? Yes, you could have gone, but they could be, convincing people to like, coax them to get us active subscription and stuff. yeah, okay, fine. But like literally everything, capitalism is about exploitation of a situation. So I mean that's going to happen anyway. But it's better than let's give us some more money, give us some more money. Oh, give us some more. It's like that's the one thing that I personally, shy away from. But it's I do think that um you know games do have a benefit of bringing people together when they are far apart.
So
And yeah,
how would you feel? How do you feel about like um people that before this was going on already had some issues with like playing for maybe too long for their own benefit, or like having to go outside a little bit more, something like that. Like they're like I agree that like if you compare this, if you contrast this to like, hey, either we all go hang out in the park together with all 20 of us and we're just gonna like stand close to each other and possibly infect each other. If you compare that scenario to, hey, let's do like a 20-person multiplayer game, we're just gonna go in Call of Duty or something, I don't know, whatever you want to do, then like obviously that is the better, more healthy scenario. But I could imagine, as we just spoke about, like a gaming disorder. Like, let's say that you're not necessarily like having a gaming disorder, but like you are maybe playing a little bit too much, and it would be more beneficial for you to like go out a little bit, just like maybe just walk around the block for once in a while, which I think in most places is still fine as long as you do it by yourself and you keep appropriate distance. Um, right now, being encouraged to just like go play games because it's good, wouldn't that be um, a negative thing, or not as beneficial for people that like might already be playing a little bit too much, like adding more fuel to the fire, which might not need that more fuel.
I think if you're going to look at the minority of people that suffer from gaming addiction, um, people that have an addictive personality, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to deny about that. But I think the big point of this message um, is it's for those people that are always constantly making an excuse to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, back, I swear it was Monday last week, day. So we've been under um, lockdown in the UK for like the last. What this effectively means is the government has asked people not to go outside unless it is to go for a jog, like to go get some exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or to go out and buy essential things, right? So like medication or food, right? Nothing else. And when I went to the shops on Thursday, there had been various different rules that have been put in place for supermarkets, and like I think they could only have as many customers in the store as there were aisles,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that everyone has like their own aisle to be in, and like people keep appropriate the distance from each
yeah,
other.
it's the whole social distance.
Yeah.
But when I was outside, I had to wait in a queue where everyone was like 2 meters apart from each other or thereabouts, and there was only one entrance to the building. The others had been sealed off, and the number of people that started something with the security guards was astronomical, right? Like in the 45 minutes I was stood out in the queue, the number of people that picked a fight with the security guards, not a fisticuffs fight, but an actual verbal abusive fight, was crazy, right? There have been reports within the UK where people in their 40s have coughed and sneezed on police officers or law enforcement within the UK, right? And they have been arrested, put in prison, right, for attempted murder, right? Well, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
so basically they do it on purpose. They're like, ah, I've just given you the coronavirus, you know, and you know that can be construed as effectively an act of terrorism because you're weaponizing the coronavirus. There was
yeah,
another instance. I'm not sure if this was in the UK where someone was licking food products, like, you know, cans of food and things, and putting it back on the shelf. Another person was licking their hand and then covering door handles, right? And it's just like, you are going to be the person that gets the coronavirus before anyone else. Congratulations, you're a muppet.
yeah. It's like,
Um,
on honestly, these like there's a lot of things which are going on when it comes to when it comes to people being on edge. Like we've seen some fights in supermarkets as well, around our nation. Like I can say, like I can see that some of these are just caused from people being like in distress, like people being on edge, people being on their toes because it's a stressful situation, and like sometimes like sometimes you can see people do weird things, but that's just because they're probably very very scared, and those could most likely be more elderly people because it's a disease that like hits harder on elderly people. But at the same time, like there have also been numerous cases of like very fit and young people. I think like today I read about like a 12-year-old girl that died in Belgium because of coronavirus, which is like there is a reason for everyone to like to be scared. Like not that you should necessarily be scared, but like I can understand that people can be scared about this, and like there are things when like you're waiting in line and like you're scared that you might catch it, and you're like, why it doesn't just go faster? It's like you should not like take out that like that abuse on like someone else, especially on the security guard that's like just there doing their job. But I can kind of understand that. But like sneezing on people, like licking things, like I think the story you mentioned of like the person like licking things in like a supermarket has to throw like all that stuff out, and it cost them like over $35,000 just had to be like wasted because someone licked all the things. It's like, how fucking dumb can you be? It's like, why are you doing this? Like I like these are the kind of people, like people that are also like, oh, we should avoid like Italians or Chinese because like, oh, that's where the disease is. And it's like, well, like these people that you're avoiding literally live in your country and have the same chance as you as getting it. So like what the fuck are you doing? Like these people like are just like really really annoying. And I wish
I
that
think,
yeah, go ahead.
I, I think, so first off, I think it's good that the World Health Organization is turning around and saying like, go play some video games. You know, just don't go outside, you bloody muppets.
Mhm.
You know, I think it is a good thing. I actually know someone who bought a second-hand Switch so she could play the latest Animal Crossing because she couldn't go outside. She's pretty much had to self quarantine because her neighbors, her like the people that live around her, they're all very old, and she doesn't want to be the reason why they die.
Yeah.
So you know, so she bought herself a crossing, right,
Yeah.
and a Switch, and you know, so I'm fine with this. I think a large part of the problem is that people don't like being told what to do. When people are told what to do, they rebel. There's like, you know, you're not my supervisor or whatever. You know, and I think that is what leads to situations where you have morons licking cans of baked goods or whatever, right? I mean, in in all honesty, right, whatever the items were to a certain extent, um, like if it was canned products, and all you had to do was just isolate food for like 24 hours and then you can put it back on the shelf,
Yeah.
right? You know, maybe you had to
Mhm.
take the labels off or whatever, but you know,
Mhm.
that's the deal, you know,
Yeah.
because the virus cannot survive outside of the human body for too long.
No, well, and you can like disaffect things as long as they're like
Yeah.
if they're cans, like you can wash them down, disaffect them, but like still, it's like it's I as like if it's done with bad intent, like fuck you. If it's done because people are genuinely scared, I like try to behave, but like I can have some sympathy for it because like I can understand. Like recently, I was going out for a walk. In the park, well, a quiet park, I should say. I'm a responsible adult. I'm not gonna go to like a busy park. I'm gonna go to a quiet park. But I was on a quiet park and I happened to like walk along this path, which is like a footpath. It's not a big one, and there was like an elderly couple approaching me. So like you go a little bit to the side, um, so that you can cross each other. But they were literally like passing me like facing the other side, facing the bushes and just like trying to like
Yeah.
sneak past like that. And like your first reaction is like, don't exaggerate. Like it's a bit funny. It's like you don't expect someone to do that, but like it's just that they're fearful. It's like they're
Yeah.
scared. They're scared of catching it and like prove them
No, I
wrong.
get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I can also see like I don't know, have you seen any other people in person ever since like the lockdown thing happened?
Yes. So I am not self-isolating, because I live on my own, and it is very difficult to get supplies and things. I have to go out and get them myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have seen other people. I've not seen any of my friends, right? Since the lockdown, I've not seen Loz. Um, so that's why 10 o'clock is now shorter. um, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, whenever people I know, there are a lot of people I know from older jobs, from the current job, um, people that are in different relationships and stuff. Like they message me and saying like, how am I holding up thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I reply with, I'm a gamer, and then I link to that clip from the Dark Knight Rises movie, which is Bane going, so, you adopted the dark. So you merely adopted the dark. I was born to
Yeah.
it. And like I can do this self-isolation thing. The only thing I cannot do is go without sunlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go nuts when I don't have any sunlight. So I have to open my curtain. And like people from across the way can see right into my flat. I don't care. I need the daylight.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I really need. Um, but aside from that, like last time I went out was Sunday. The time before that was Thursday. The time before that was Monday. So every few days I go out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you there. Like I also need to go out. Like I'll go for walks, go for a run, because I kind of like I need to stay moving,
Mm.
to like, you know, feel good about myself. But like you notice when like I've also like had one or two people like just like come over just to like but like we see each other, you talk to each other with each other in the street, that kind of deal. And like you start off with like kind of like feeling out what's like where advice to like keep 1.5 meters away from each other. But like over time it gets harder to maintain that because especially when like that like the only people I interact with are people that are pretty much like me. They're like they don't go out much, they don't go anywhere, um because they live on their own, they live in their own place and they don't leave that. And it's like you know 95% sure that they're not infected, but it's like you still gotta like keep that distance, and
Mm.
it's like so weird. I saw a meme today which described like this virus as like Schrodinger's virus. So why is it Schrodinger's virus? Because as long as you're not tested, you don't know whether or not you have the virus. Everyone needs to act as though they do have the virus because we all have to stay away from each other, um and like self isolate. But at the same time, we all have to act as though we all do not have the virus, because if we act as though we have the virus, then we will not like create this immunity. So like because if you all have the virus and you don't have to worry about catching it. So like you everyone needs to like both have and not have the virus at the same time. And you won't know like unless you get tested whether you have or not have it. So that's why it was called like Schrodinger's virus, because you both have and don't have it at the same time.
I think it's really important to recognize um, the risk involved. So my niece, she's ended up having it,
Wow.
and thus, she's not allowed to have contact with her mother, my
Mm-hmm.
sister, right? And thus, my sister is not allowed to have contact with my mother, right? Or our mother, rather, right? Because my mother is 80, right? So she is definitely the risk.
Yeah.
I'm meant to go back to see my folks next Friday, but if the lockdown's still in effect, I can't go, right?
Oh.
And I booked a week off holiday to go visit them, but I can't go
Mm-hmm.
if this is still a problem. My father has a heart condition, right? He's also in the risk factor. I dislike the fact that they've got all the old people going to the supermarket at the same time, right? Personally, I would go, right, if you're an OAP, free delivery,
Mm-hmm.
right? We do not want you coming out. We will
No.
not give you your shopping in hand. We will leave your shopping, right, at your door. We will knock on the door, make sure you're there to take it, right? And then we'll bugger off. But we do not want you going out. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
my parents going,
No, I can
right?
see that. I can see that for
Yeah.
sure. I have the same thing. I know a couple of like very high risk people, which of course include my grandparents, but also my cousin who is young and has a really serious heart condition, and we just haven't seen him ever since like this thing kind of like really started affecting our country. And the thing is that like we've been thinking about like maybe we go by and like wave in front of the windows, but like you're not really gonna do that because like there's no use for that. So like we video call, but it's like even though like I know that like I don't interact with anyone that could have the virus. I do not have it because like I've been self isolating for like years. Basically, it's been years. Like it's been a long time since I've traveled or been out like in many crowded areas. And
Mm,
I don't go to the shops myself. Like so but like you don't want to risk it. Like you do not want to like if things happen to go wrong, even if like you were maybe not like the factor, I could not live with the like the idea that I might have like brought it onto them. So then
yeah.
I'd rather like stay away and like wait until this is over and then like see them again than risk not seeing them again.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
I completely. And I think that the World Health Organization saying go play video games is a really good thing.
No.
I think that even if it's on your mobile device, go play video games. I mean, hopefully we all have a computer that can play something relatively simple. If you've got people that you live with, play stuff like Overcooked, play stuff like Catastronauts,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that will be phenomenal to play locally with other people.
Yeah.
If, however, you are on your own, like I am, then you may have to shell out for, a gaming platform or something. Or, just chill out on Twitch or watch shit tons of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I mean, like, while I genuinely, so I'm still doing my job
Mm-hmm.
every day, right? I have my work Mac next to me, right? I've wired it up to my main monitor, right? I have a mouse and a keyboard that I've pilfered from that I've um quarantined from work. Just so I can do my work more easier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so I still have like the whole 9-5 situation every day. But I think that you know it's important that if you've got the time to kill, find something to entertain yourself with. I think, like, oddly enough, I think that this is going to lead towards more of a sort of like Star Trekky creative outlet world than anything else, where mass media is just not a thing as much, and people are doing things like, remotely playing poker, or remotely playing Dungeons and Dragons, or creating stuff, painting. Like, the amount of cleaning I have done since I have been trapped here is insane, right? I have gotten stuff out of storage. I've put more models out on display. I don't know if you can spot the difference,
Oh yeah,
but
so
like, yeah, like I've put more out and things like that, and like my kitchen is cleaner, not clean, but cleaner. And I think that creative outlets and things like that go a long way.
the creative outlet of cleaning your house. I mean, I support it. Go do it.
Yeah.
Pyrrha says I've cleaned so much too. I heard yesterday from Big Show that he's been working on like cleaning out the spare room where they dump all the shit that like you'll look at later. We actually had like in our place where like I think it was a week ago, like just or 2 weeks ago when the quarantine started. Like there were lines in front of like the garbage dump because people just wanted to like dump shit because they were all like, oh, let's go clean up the house, let's go dump shit we don't need, and then everyone was like ready to dump. It was like, well, guys, you're not supposed to be all here right now because that doesn't really solve the problem. But yeah, it's seriously an interesting time. I've heard like a good friend of mine is using this time to learn Spanish. Because hey, why not learn a new language? And like I would definitely recommend like people out here to like if you have something interesting or like if you have something that you've always wanted to do, go do it now. Like set yourself a goal because we don't know how long this is gonna last. A little bit of a thing like I haven't like normally I'm not the person to talk about videos which I haven't edited yet, let alone recorded. But I'm pretty certain that I'm going to be recording this tomorrow, so this will be soon out on the main channel. But what I want to start doing is I really, really like reading. I normally don't really talk about that I like reading because how much to do does reading literature combined with playing games. But since I've started the main channel, I want to like do some sort of like book club thing where you're like I read like 1 or 2 books every week, and like I'll do like a little review on them, like talk about like why these things are interesting or I find them interesting, and maybe I can get you excited about reading and get you some more knowledge or get you some more like reading experience to like kick Corona in the face and just use this time wisely. Who knows?
My work colleagues, right? So
Mhm.
literally, right? The Monday of the lockdown. So not the Monday of the lockdown, the Monday of our quarantine, like where we're not longer going to the office. That Monday we were going to do the first movie night,
Oh yeah,
which
you
was going to
told me.
be which
That's
was going to be Captain America, the First Avenger, and that got scuppered rather. And now one of my other colleagues just turned around and was like, how's about we do like a movie night? Loads of people got Netflix. Why don't we just watch a movie from Netflix and then we'll talk about it the next day? And we've started doing that. So the first movie we're gonna watch is Princess Mononoke, which I've already seen. But we're watching it this weekend, and then we're gonna be talking about it on Monday.
sweet.
So.
That's really cool. I think like I heard people talking about like a Netflix sharing thing, like Netflix watch together. I mean, like what I used to do a lot when I was watching people a series online with people, like we just sit in Discord call and played at the same time. 3, 2, 1, let's play. One thing though, well, 2 interesting things which I've seen, which might be interesting, which aren't necessarily topics, but hey, watch out. I know that a lot, like I've heard people talk about the app Zoom a lot, which is some sort of like this business sort Discord where you have to pay, but there are like free sessions for like 40 minutes or something. So you have like a lot of people are using this Zoom thing, which is like a video conference site. And people are using a house party app, which is kind of like a mobile app where you can like play games with people together, on like a mobile phone thing. I don't know. It should be like a collection of games you can have like a house party with people on your phone without like being in the same room. These 2 apps have recently been on like I've seen them on the news quite a bit on some very very reputable news sources where they're kind of under fire for like their terms of servers, and they're not like the case in point is kind of like watch out when it comes to like what kind of like data they
Collect.
collect, because I think the House Party app, I could be wrong on this because I didn't prepare this, but I think the House Party app was like monitoring like your entire phone, what you did, what apps you started, all that. Like it just stayed on the background and like followed everything. So if you want to try out new things, if you want to like if there are these new hot popular apps that you can like use while being in quarantine, do be sure to like check out whether they're like responsible with your data, because there are definitely companies trying to make use of the situation. One such thing, actually, I don't know if you heard about this. I stumbled upon this through Louis Rossmann, the like Apple YouTuber, the repair guy YouTuber, I should actually say. Um, Yelp, the review site, is like where you can leave reviews for restaurants and all that sort of stuff. They're actually like they actually have on their site places where you can where they're like you can go to a restaurant where you can see the reviews, but they also say during these Corona times you can also like toss a couple of bucks towards the restaurant in order to like support them during these times, which sounds like a good thing, right? Like, it's kind of like a GoFundMe kind of situation because restaurants aren't open yet. They can't like pay their staff, so you can toss a couple of bucks towards them. But the thing is that Yelp doesn't contact the restaurants that they have this. So they collect the money, but only if the restaurants comes up to Yelp and then asks them to like give them the money, they will give the money. But
What the hell?
so so Yelp is holding fundraisers for restaurants, which the restaurants do not know about. So they're collecting money for restaurants and just not telling them. And if they don't ask, they're not receiving it. The money just goes to Yelp.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Right, should we move on to our next topic?
Yeah. So do be aware with what you do, with what you use. I mean, in general, but even now, people are trying to make use of it. So, final thing which I brought up, which I had for the topic today, is that YouTube reportedly defaults standard video quality to 480p or standard definition. Forum users and several news outlets have reported that YouTube is lowering the standard video quality to 480p for users in Europe to ease the strain on the internet bandwidth, because like online video is taking up a lot of the internet bandwidth. YouTube is like one of the biggest like internet traffic sites.
So that's not entirely accurate, right? So let me correct you on something. So yes, there is limited bandwidth, but the bottleneck is not the whole internet. The bottleneck is the pipe coming out of the server, right?
Mhm.
So YouTube will be running off a cloud network of different servers combined together that effectively as one to pipe the data out. Now, typically, what you want is to make sure that the pipe is never being fully utilized, right? So, for the simplest way of describing it is with, right? This is how my lecturers always described how packets worked on an internet connection is the amount of beer you could get through the pipe,
Mhm.
right? So if you have a big fat pipe, you can get a lot of beer through it. But if you have a small thin pipe, you can't get a lot of beer through it, right? Now, the problem now is the fact that everyone's at home, everyone's watching YouTube, right? In much larger scale than normal. Same Netflix has the same policy now, by the way. So what they're doing is they're throttling the amount of beer or the rate, the quality
Yeah.
of beer, right?
Well, like the raid kind of, because like
Kind of, yeah.
yeah, it's hard to compare because like you're still getting like the same glass, but like it contains less volume in a sense.
Yeah, effectively, you've
Yeah.
got a smaller glass,
Yeah,
right?
but you can still watch the entire video. It's just like not like like the thing is it's not necessarily in lower quality. Like the standard is just 480, and you can choose to up it to like 4K or 8K, but you will have
Yeah.
to choose to do that.
Yes. So I use a plugin on my web browsers called think it's like magic actions for YouTube. So there's certain things that this will do. One of which is to automatically set the download rate to 1080p, right? And yeah, this is great. Because typically I've always found this with YouTube. It takes so damn long for it to realize, oh, you have the bandwidth for 1080p. Oh yeah, like we're halfway through the video now, but here's your 1080p if you leave it on automatic. So, but I've also been watching a lot of Star Trek: The Next Generation while working because there's a bit bored or whatever. So I'll watch some Star Trek. Better than fucking hard. And but one thing I do notice is in the evenings, the picture quality drops massively, right? I like the faces lose definition, things like that. You know, I lose the definition of the hairline. I lose a lot of definition, and there's like fuck all I can do about it because Netflix are in full control of it. But at least I can still watch the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like obviously it very much also has to do with like how much the YouTube servers and Netflix servers can take, and obviously there's going to be a larger like usage right now than in regular times. But I'm also wondering whether these measures are also benefiting like local internet points. So when it comes to like normally so many people that would work on location, work from home right now. And like, well, like actually, the way that I want to say this is like the people that work from home right now are generally people that work from home because they can do so through an internet connection because they can connect to like the work VPN or they can work on their computer with like a conference call or those kinds of things. So I think that like if I had to look at like my neighborhood or something where I think there's such a drastic increase of people working online on like neighborhood like areas using conference calls way more than they would do normally, and at the same time kids being at home and like getting like online teaching, online classes, and at the same time gaming more and watching YouTube more. Like, don't you think that that can also like increase and like be such an increase on like the local network that this might also be beneficial to lowering that rate, like making that not like clog up entirely?
God, this is difficult to explain. So, at least in the UK, I'm pretty sure this is worldwide. The phone lines are structured like a web, right? No, actually, more like a tree branch, a tree, more like right. That's a better definition. So we are the leaves on the ends of a branch, right? And our leaf connects to a twig, right? So you can have multiple leaves on a single twig, right? But then those twigs connect to a branch. At the connection point is what's called an exchange, right? The exchange will handle not only the local home internet traffic, but they'll also handle the local business traffic, right? A person can only exist in one space, right? I can only be in one place. I can either be here at home or I can be over at work, right? Or I could be at my parent. I cannot be everywhere.
No.
I will consume X amount of data, right? The theory you're putting behind is that if you are in a job that you wouldn't consume any data whatsoever, when you're then at home, you would be consuming. So you're talking about a complete change in motive, right?
Well, I would be talking about like a significant increase in data per person. So like, of course, like
Why
a lot.
would that be?
Well, a lot of jobs that like involve computers, like, well, these people will just move. So like the data usage will kind of remain the same, except for where normally they would have to like they could just like walk up to the other person and be like, hey, I need to talk to you. Right now, they need to have conference calls because like they can't do it like on site anymore, which would be an increase in data. And like I would assume that like I think I can safely assume that like a percentage, I don't know how big, but a percentage of people that work from home will also be tempted to use YouTube more, Netflix more, play more online games, just like because they don't have travel times, because they can spend more time to it, because it's kind of tempting because you're at home. And then when you look at things, at jobs like, let's say I'm a teacher, like teachers normally give their classes in a classroom, so that doesn't like use data at all. But now they have to like record it, put it out as online video, like on Mars, like people are taking online classes right now, whether that's for a live stream, whether that's for like pre-recorded, and then people are like children are watching that. That's also like extra like data that is being used per person. So I think that there is at least an increase. But like the reason that I tend to like the reason that I think like this is because a lot of times I see these things like YouTube doing this, or PlayStation lowering like download speeds, or Steam is also changing their download policy. They're kind of like saying it like to preserve the internet for everyone, which kind of makes it seem like it's like well, it's better for everyone. Like it's not just for us, but for everyone that we do this. However, you seem to like you say it's more like it's just on their end. It's better if they like slim it down.
It's totally 100% their end. Like, so so let me talk through my logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am the guy that monitors and maintains all the servers at my right? While I'm at the company, I use a moderate amount of the right. However, here I have a fraction of the capabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to download today a 50 gigabyte backup of a server,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was going to take 12 hours download, right? At
Oof.
work, it would have taken about 40 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my internet supported. I ended up having to contact someone at the office, someone else from the company that was at home and said, right, who has a fiber internet connection? Someone said, I did. I was like, right. I called them up and I said, could you download this file for me? Because it was going to take 12 hours to do it. And I need to get it backed up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it.
Yay.
Right. The point I'm trying to make is if the internet infrastructure, right, in your local area can survive Christmas Day, no problem, it can survive like this sort of situation. Because even though you're saying like kids are what's called being taught via home, right? I can guarantee, right, teachers, unless they are teaching like 11-year-olds to 16-year-olds, right? So this is like the GCSE years, right? They're not making videos for that. They're not doing anything there, right? Because kids do not have the attention span for it, right? Um, you know, you could just give them a book. Here's a book. Go read the book. Go do the exercises in the book, right? Unless they
Mm-hmm.
have a learning disability similar to mine, right? They'll be able to do that perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it called? I know people at university, right? And then they're like, yeah, our lecturers have just basically gone, yeah, we can't be bothered. And that's university. That's the highest level where you would expect this sort of stuff to happen,
That
right?
is
But
crazy.
but even so, streaming data,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like me streaming, what's it called, this whole situation right now. I've got the Twitter, the Twitch feed open. I've got your webcam. I've got my web. I'm uploading at around 50-ish maximum, 50-ish kilobytes per second, which is about 3/4 of what I can do. and I'm downloading on average, oh god, I don't know, quarter of a megabyte per second. It's fluctuating up a lot.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. So like that's nothing. When I
No.
start downloading a game, that is destroying my internet connection. I can't do anything with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. It's like, yeah, especially the Christmas Day argument, because like seriously on Christmas Day, like everyone's at home and everyone's like supposed to be having fun time with families, but most of the time they're just like playing games, watching YouTube videos, watching series, watching Netflix.
Well, I
They're-
was just like playing games, but yeah.
yeah, well, like that's the fun thing also, like in game developer world, where like you don't need to do anything for Christmas, you will get more players playing, you will get more concurrent players regardless of what you do. So yeah, I guess that's a good argument. But yeah, so like it's just to support their servers. I mean, it's good. I like that we used to, like with YouTube, as we said, as like this thing is about with the 480p thing, that like you can still change it. So like
Yeah.
if you want to have higher quality, you can set it to higher quality. But the majority of people will not be bothered, because changing a setting, like putting 2 clicks in, you change it. They won't do it. They won't mind. So that's good.
Also, one thing I will say is at work. So I don't know who is aware of this tool. It's called Slack, right? It is effectively business Discord, right? Or rather, Discord is gaming Slack, right? I'm pretty sure Slack came out first,
How do you
but
spell it? As
SLACK,
Slack.
Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And it is literally it is the only difference between Slack and Discord is that typically Discord Slack you're only really on one server. You can be on multiple. Like Discord, it really pushes you to be on multiple
Mm-hmm.
servers, and Discord does facilitate the whole call and camera thing a lot better than Slack does. Slack is more text-based communication. It does support calls like that. But one thing I do recommend to people, if you are missing the whole person-to-person contact, call them up on Discord or Google Hangouts or heaven forbid Skype, and actually just stick on a webcam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing a face, just seeing a human, like, oh, it's like I could touch them. It goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I talk to my colleagues, I always flip on the webcam. They don't do, but they know that I'm there, and I'm also proving the fact that I'm dressed.
I mean, at least the top part is dressed. Which
I would stand up, but there's a stain on my trousers. I'd embarrass myself.
doesn't matter. There's no one here. There has never been anyone here on this Twitch platform that was sitting down that was actually wearing trousers, which is fine. Like, we all know that. We're all aware of it. I don't think anyone in the audience here is wearing trousers. I hope you're not.
Like,
I hope
one thing that's really good that's come out of this whole situation, I have found a Korean hot noodle, right? That is absolutely fantastic. It is insane. Hold on, I got a picture. I'll actually
share it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Oh wait, who did I send it to? Rich.
Right. If you get it for the Discord, I'll throw it up. Paris says I'm wearing jeans. Lies.
Like I'm just wearing sweatpants. I don't know what they call them. Like,
Let's see. Buldak.
Yeah,
Hot chicken flavor ramen. Oh shit.
All right. They're Korean and they are spicy as fuck. Right. I had some earlier and I ended up choking because I had too much in one go. I was just like, it's so spicy. And like the first time I had them, I accidentally spilt the sauce.
So like one thing that this is making me feel like is like I really like once this thing is over, I really want to go out again. Like I'm kind of like thinking like maybe I can like revive Pokemon Go. Like go out the first day that we're fine. Just like download Pokemon Go. Just like go out, go do that outside, because we're allowed to again. And I would love to like travel a bit again because like I'm pretty like it sucks. Everyone being it's for a good cause. But like, I would love to like travel and like also visit Birmingham again, and then like have a load, like try out
Oh, you
bold
will
actors.
cry. You will so cry.
I believe I will because I don't know how good I am with spicy foods. I don't think I'm that good.
uh,
Pyrrha says Pokemon Go rates are finally going to be remote access. Oh man, I remember when Pokemon Go just came out and like people already had like this hack where they could just like have like this fake location on their phone. They could just like walk around like this, so they were just like laying down playing Pokemon Go. Like,
well,
and
like in K, so the UK Pokemon turned up relative to how many people in the area were playing the game,
mhm.
right? So there's all these memes. So there was this one huge meme of like there was two different classes of citizen. There was one which was like super fancy, posh, everything's made out of gold, diamonds galore. It was like, oh, another Rattata, oh, you know. And then there's the people that are like living in barrels and like don't have more than two teeth and like what is that Pokemon? Oh, it's so legendary. And like where I used to work in the middle of bumfuck nowhere,
Mhm.
and it was in a business park. It took me an hour and a half to get there. Never see anything. You would never see any Pokemon there. Whereas my ex-girlfriend, she lived at like she worked at the one stop that had more Pokemon than the bloody sun, and it was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go for a brisk walk to this bench over here and play some Pokemon.
Honestly, like it's been 4 years since it came out. Like I think like there was like a month where people were super excited about it and then kind of died away.
Yeah.
But like it was a really fun concept of like everyone just like going around with their phones and be like, oh yeah, I'm playing Pokemon. And then like we also just had people with like scooters with like racks of phones and like, ah, I'm catching Pokemon. Until
Well,
it was yeah, go ahead.
the thing I liked the most about Pokemon Go was the amount of animal adoptions, right? Because there were like, there were animal centers for like rescue centers for dogs and things like that. And what they would do is that they would allow people to rent a pet, rent a dog to go out for a walk so that they could be seen, playing Pokemon Go, but actually walking a dog at the same time. So they didn't look sad and pathetic playing Go, right? And the number of pet adoptions went through the roof because number of people that fell in love with the dog, they just turned around and said like, yeah, I'm not bringing the dog back. I'm just gonna look after it. I'm gonna adopt it right here and now. And like, bam, there were rescue centers that were actually empty, which I honestly think is heartwarming.
That is amazing. That
Yeah.
that is such a great idea because like it works so well. But imagine having to pitch that idea to like someone like, hey, you know how like people just feel like they're pathetic when they're just doing Pokemon Go. Like how about like we give them like we allow them to rent our animals so that they don't feel pathetic while playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. Let's see. Pyrrha says streets would never be as safe as they were in 2016 because of Pokemon Go. I mean, if Pokemon Go just came out right now, then like we would all be infected at this time. So
Oh god.
no, streets are safe because no one is there. Yeah, but anyway, I'm probably gonna try and do some Pokemon Go again once this thing is over and like I can walk around again, maybe restart, like get a new account. But yeah, like I am really looking forward to be able to travel once this thing is like passed. But right now, I'm staying safe inside. But yeah, those noodles look
Cool.
good.
Should we open the floor up to questions from the audience?
Definitely, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in chat. They can be about anything and anything you'd like. We will choose whether we want to ask them or not. So whether they want to be about any of the topics that we discussed, which were, oh, if I bring them up again, like the YouTube putting them to 480p, the World Health Organization recommending people to go play video games, and phoning at home beating the fastest supercomputer. Feel free to like put some questions in chat if you have any, or anything you want to talk about. Floor's yours right now.
What do you think one game that no matter who you were, right? Or, actually not no matter who, but what game would be a great suggestion for all audiences, regardless of whether or not you have the platform? We'll take that out of the equation.
I think I generally think that when it Mario games are really good. Though I haven't played Odyssey. I haven't played it yet, but a lot of Mario games are everyone can play them. Literally we it doesn't even matter what age it is, because I remember a couple of summers ago we found a SNES with Super Mario 2 in my cousin's house, and everyone was just from my dad to my little sister, we were like, oh, let's go play it, and everyone knows what it is, everyone knows what it does, and it's everyone is enjoying it. So I would say Mario, maybe Mario Kart, I don't know. What would you think? A game that's accessible to everyone and fun.
This is different.
I'm going Nintendo so hard. I would also say it's a bit old now, but Wii Sports used to be the thing that you could play with anyone at the party. It's it's not interesting and engaging as a game for everyone right now, but it's a party game, so you can't really do that now. But hey, that was something everyone could kind of do.
Mario Party.
Mario Party.
Yeah. I think no matter who you are, you could do Mario Party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mario Kart Double Dash? Yeah, Mario Karts as well. Let's see if we can find something outside of Nintendo. Is there anything outside of Nintendo that you're hey, that's something that everyone can get into? I think Overcooked is one, which is very...
Well, I don't... See, the reason why I don't say Overcooked is because I think you would struggle with less than 4 people. And I think the thing about Overcooked is there's a chance of failure, whereas Mario Party, it's always pushing forward. It's always trying to get you to win the game. And even if you are the first person to get to the end, you won't necessarily win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've watched many a Game Grumps where they the person with the most stars is about to win, and then it's oh yeah, we're awarding a truck ton of stars to this person over here, and then someone completely different wins, and it's just WTF.
Yeah. The last few Mario parties actually haven't been all that great. Pira says, imagine if Nintendo launched a new Mario Party for the Switch. I think the last few Mario parties have been weren't they the ones where you're everyone's in a cart and the cart just moves? So instead of everyone being a piece on the board and you move your own squares onward, you just threw the dice block and a cart with all the players on it would just move around, and it was kind of really, really shit.
I think that was the GameCube one. The Wii U one wasn't like that, because that was the one I watched the most.
Let's see.
If it was, then it was an option, because again, the Wii U or the Wii one or whatever, definitely had individual people.
Yeah, there was a time where it was really good for individual people. I think I recently just watched a video on Mario Party.
Maybe it was a game mode, right? Maybe there was a mode that you could set it to so that everyone was always together.
I don't remember which video it was, but there were a couple of Mario Party games which were which were made in the sense of what was the game? It was inspired by some. There was a game. Fuck, I don't remember, but there were this was after the Wii era, but like there was this game where it was like this game where it was like,
What do you mean after the Wii era? After the Wii, there was the Wii U, and then there was the Switch.
yeah. But it's like Perry also says, I remember that on the rail. It's like they had 1 or 2 games where it was like, oh, let's try this new thing where like everyone's on a go-kart, like everyone's on this big cart and like everyone moves along at the same time. It was really, really boring.
I think that one's the GameCube one. I don't think it's one of the recent ones.
It might have been a 3DS one.
I didn't know there was a Mario Kart for 3DS.
Mario Party.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Let's see. Mario Party 3DS Island Tour. Let's see.
Again,
I
it
don't
could
know.
just be a game mode.
It could have been a game. Anyway, I don't know. Was it 10? No, it wasn't. All right, I'll see if I can look it up. I'll find out at some point. But yeah, Mario Party is a really good one for like anyone. Outside of the Nintendo platform, I don't know. Like, I like this is why like when it comes to like family games, like Nintendo always is like such a home run for like if you want something that everyone can enjoy. It's super. It's like it tends to be very casual though. Like Mario Party isn't like an extreme game. But like when you want to have a safe bet, I think Nintendo is always like a safe platform.
I feel that Sony, like the PlayStation franchise, is pretty much geared towards RPG based games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, what's the name of the Xbox is primarily focused towards first person shooter games. PC is primarily focused towards PvP based games. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I really feel that the Switch Nintendo are the ones that are like friendly games.
I really like Nintendo games for like just you can just play them and have fun with them without having like all this online stuff going on. Just because Nintendo is really shit at with online. Like there is good online elements, but like you can also really enjoy them offline. That's something which I also really enjoy. And yeah, PlayStation's story games are great too.
Yeah.
I like them as well.
Nier Automata.
Hold on, I may have.
Are you still looking?
Yeah, it may have been this video. It may have been a video by Scott that was, because I like it's something which was like super recently in my memory that I've watched something about it. But I don't. Hold on, like I'm just trying to find it real quickly. Here it is. It's about like hold on, I'm gonna show the media screen. I don't know if I can share the sound or not. I don't think I can. Can I? This is a review, by the way. No, it's not doing the sound thing. All right, well. So let's see. This is the thing that I remember. Like Mario Party is like the great thing about like video games and that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, Mario Party 9, which was inspired by like Wii Party, I think. This thing right here. I told you, it's on a go-kart. It was 9. BRB searching the library of games in the living room. Holy shit, I have it. Pyrrha has it too. It was 9. This is the thing I was talking about. I saw it. This is recently also from Scott the Was video, old series new developer, where he goes over like different games and like how different developers took it up. But like the thing was, it's like everyone just goes around in this go-kart, like right here.
This wasn't the most recent one, was it?
No, the most recent was 10. But
Yeah.
like it's like the fun thing about like these old games about Mario Party is like everyone just like goes their own way and like you can decide which route you want to go. And now it's like, what's the strategy here? Like everyone just goes around. It means nothing. So yeah, this is the one I was talking about. Yes, it was 9. We discovered it. Mario Party, and like they also apparently did it with other things. Anyway, that was the thing I was talking about. We found it. Yes, good job, Hera, for also finding it. You know, like Mario Party 9. But yeah, overall, Mario Party would be a good game for everyone.
But not 9.
But not 9.
But not.
Not 9. How dare you? You know. If I ever get to like like have someone over again, someone new, like the very first thing I'm going to ask them is like, what are your opinions about Mario Party 9? Are you a 9 person? Also, it's Pyra. Did I say it
Pyra.
wrong? Pyra.
Yeah.
Pyra. I'm
That's
sorry.
like- I swear it's Pyra.
It's probably like the Dutch in the where like we pronounce certain things differently. Like it's funny, like we pronounce the E in English, the E is like an E. It's like but like E in Dutch is I. It's like we pronounce letter I as E and English pronounce E as E. And then we have another one.
The one I've noticed is whenever you try to pronounce Z, you pronounce it Xi. You always put a K in it.
Yeah, that could also be one.
Well, it's like
Very
whenever you
well.
say Xenogelion, whenever
Yeah.
you say Xenogelion, it's you always put
Yeah,
Xenogelion.
that's because an X, like an X, is like KS, like x, x, that's a x sound. X sound. If you were Xenogelion with like a
No, no.
Z,
No. You pronounce XE as a Z.
yeah, and we pronounce it as xi, xi. That's how we pronounce an X.
Yeah,
like Sandy, Xeno.
Yeah, it's E.
Oh yeah,
not Xi.
and the other one is A, like A, the letter A, the first letter of the alphabet in English, like you say that as A, but for us it's E, like E, the letter E, we pronounce it as A. So like,
Oh.
there's some funny things like that. That's probably where it went wrong. But yeah, I'll try to stick to Pyra. I hope I get it.
Oh.
But yeah, and Xenogelion. Did I get that right?
Let's call this to end. Let's bring this to an end. Call it a show.
Yeah.
And yeah. Cool.
Well-
So go on.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this 37th episode of the FrameCast. We're closing on that 50th episode in 13 weeks, depending if things keep on being interesting. Because like, there's so little going on. There's so little going on in the games industry or the media industry in general. Do something. Like I'm trying to like find a stick to poke it with. Like do something we can talk about. Because right now it's just been COVID. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for topics at any time, feel free to like leave them in our Discords or tweet them at us or like leave them in the comments. That being said, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. This has been live streamed on Twitch right now at 8 p.m. European time on the Tuesday on Twitch.tv/Postma, and it will be live tomorrow on YouTube. And I hope you enjoy. And make sure you check out Xenogelion. Patreon.com/Xenogelion.
Oh my god.
All right, see you guys around 8.